Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well. So today I'm going to be talking about this whole Candace Owens versus Erika Kirk fiasco. And I kind of held off talking about this. I kind of didn't want to talk about it. I probably should have started talking about it a while ago, but here we are. And also, if you aren't aware about it, it could be one of two things. You either live under a rock or you just do not care about politics. But if you care about politics, you know for a fact that this beef has been going on for a couple of months now, ever since Charlie Kirk was assassinated or murdered, depending on what vocabulary word you prefer to use. And yeah, it's just been a complete mess. Now, one thing I will say is that I have been keeping up closely with a lot of the news that have been going on both sides. And one thing that I can't really stand is like when people make comments about or full segments about something that they really don't know about. And one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of people have been doing a ton of commentary on this entire situation, but most of them haven't watched any of Candace's episodes. Like, I just don't understand. Now, granted, I am not a fan of Candace Owens at all. But I do admire how she's going hard in the paint for her best friend. And even though I don't have the best, perspective about Charlie Kirk himself based off of the things that he said in the past, at the end of the day, I do admire how she's taking up for her friend. If she believed in a lot of the things that he said and she wants to back him 21st, like she wants to back him wholeheartedly, she has the right to do that. Now, based off of what a lot of people are saying, you have two sides. One side is just like, hey, that wasn't your boyfriend. That wasn't your husband. Why do you care so much? And then you have the other people who are saying, oh my God, thank you so much for caring. It seems like you care more than his wife does, right? About whether or not this investigation is solved and we actually find out who was the real murderer or murderers that, took this man out. So a lot of people, especially on the Democratic side, are trying to push this narrative that these are all conspiracy theories and all this and all that. One thing I cannot stand that Democrats always do is they swear up and down Republicans, conservative people are just a bunch of hoo-has that are just riddled in conspiracy theories. Like they can never think straight without turning something into a conspiracy theory. But then they'll turn around and do the same shit. So it's just like, anyways, this entire situation has been insane. So if you don't know what's going on, I'll just give you a quick synopsis right now to kind of get you caught up. And then we're going to look into a situation that took place right before Erika Kirk finally agreed to having a meeting with Candace Owens, in which I don't personally agree with how it went down, because it's giving me they're trying to control the narrative and someone's getting paid off. Like, it's real weird. So I'll just give you a quick synopsis on like what took place that got to this point. So apparently, not just Candace Owens, but a lot of people feel as though that this whole Tyler Robinson thing, as far as the young man who was claimed to have been the one to shoot the gun that then led to Charlie Kirk being assassinated, a lot of people don't believe that Tyler Robinson was the murderer. Okay. Now, they claim that it was a specific type of gun, rifle, and for some strange reason, a lot of people who are gun experts are just saying there is no way that that man would have still had a head if he got shot even 100 feet away with that particular rifle. So someone's lying, right? And based off of a lot of the footage that has been coming out from students and different camera angles that was filmed on that day at the university campus, they're saying that there was no way that that shot could have come from that particular angle if Tyler Robinson was sitting on top of the building that they said he was on top of. Okay. And then also, based on the type of rifle that he had, there was no way he could have set up that rifle and then took it apart and got away in the time frame in which they claimed he set up the rifle. He got on the roof, set up the rifle, took the shot, dismantled the rifle, and then jumped off the roof. Like, there was no way that rifle was able to be set up and broken down that quickly. Okay. But then also they're trying to figure out, okay, where's the actual gun that you guys claim that you found? How is it that the text message that you claimed he sent his boyfriend, who was supposed to be considered a furry? So they're trying to pin this kid as being a lefty, but then they claim that he was a groiper because he followed Nick Fuentes. And child, the story just kept getting funkier and funkier. Okay. And they're trying to pin that he is a lefty because they don't want him to be conservative, even though his entire family are conservative Republicans. So I'm confused. So maybe he ventured away from being a conservative Republican and he just wanted to do his own thing. He wouldn't necessarily consider himself a lefty, but a groiper is not a lefty. Like, they're far from being a lefty. If anything, they're radical extremists on the right side. So I just find it really funny how the whole battle of whether or not he was right or left was a huge thing. But then when Candace Owens started speaking out, all of that shit just went out the window. Like, it didn't matter whether or not he was a lefty or a righty. It didn't matter whether or not he was a groiper. It didn't matter whether or not he was a furry. She doesn't think he did it at all, and she thinks that he's being framed. And based off of her and what she's saying, she feels as though it was another group of individuals who have been doing a lot of things in this country, putting us under their foot, if you get what I'm saying. So it's like, okay, between her, Tucker Carlson, and a whole bunch of other really big voices in the political space, a lot of them have been looking sideways at the entire situation, and they don't trust anything that the FBI has said at this point. And Kash Patel is just being made out to be one of the biggest fools on the planet, which, based off of how he's been going about it, they're not too far off at all. You know, he hasn't done what he's supposed to have been doing to get this case solved. So with that being said, a lot of people have been trying to say that she's bullying Erika Kirk and that she shouldn't do this. All she's doing is making Erika look bad. And mind you, she hasn't said anything about Erika at all in regards of accusing her of anything. But what she has said was that she feels as though a lot of people who work for Charlie's organization, which is called Turning Point USA, has had a lot to do, and they were aware that this was going to happen. How were they aware? Well, it's being alleged that Charlie texted a few people in his camp and said that, I think that they're going to kill me today, which was the night before, which was the morning of the event in which he was killed. So it's a lot of funky, nasty mess going on. So all this to say that there's been a lot going on, and Erika Kirk has completely ignored Candace. Candace has given Erika Kirk quite a bit of opportunities to tell her to stop her investigation and to, give her time to figure it out and things like that. And Erika hasn't said anything. She kind of went radio silent when it came to talking to Candace. She didn't even invite the girl to the funeral, like none of that. So it's like, now that we're at the point to where so many other big voices are starting to pick up the story, now all of a sudden Erika is speaking out. And it's just like, girl, okay, you could have called her up if you knew that was one of Charlie's good friends. Why didn't you then talk to her? You have completely ignored her this entire time, and you're going to sit up here and act like she wasn't a dynamic part in the beginnings and the start of Turning Point USA. So it's like very disrespectful behavior, but look at who we're talking about. Like, seriously, look at who we're talking about. So it's like now it has gotten so big that it has started crumbling, and I mean absolutely crumbling, the Republican Party. Like MAGA and the Republican Party are at each other's throats about this entire situation and a whole host of other stuff that Trump is doing. And then it's just a lot of like really radical right wingers are losing their minds, like Tim Pool, crazy ass. They call him Beanie Shapiro, which is a fitting name because the dude is wacko. So he's like losing his mind about whether or not Candace is grifting and she's making all this money. And then now Erika is taking those same talking points and using them. And I'm just like, what is going on? All y'all had to do was just have a private conversation months ago and this shit would have never took place. Okay. So now let's look at this particular segment that Kim Iverson did. And she pointed out a couple really good points regarding why a lot of people have started building a conspiracy around Erika Kirk, even though Candace never did that. She's always kept her points straightforward. She's always talked about Israel. She's always talked about France. And she's always talked about the staff at Turning Point USA, which are the top guys that are pretty much running everything around Erika Kirk. So this was Charlie Kirk's leading team. She has never said that she feels as though Erika Kirk has anything to do with it, but the audience, almost from day one, has called Erika Kirk out on being very fake and performative, and they do not believe her. And they feel as though she has a lot to do with what happened to Charlie Kirk. And Kim is about to point out a couple really interesting things to kind of give credence to why people feel like that. So let's take a look at her video.
So there have been some conspiracies around Erika Kirk. And, I normally would leave a grieving widow alone, but she's now put herself in the spotlight. She's out there making the rounds. So I think that it's time and it's okay to address some of the various conspiracy theories that have been going around regarding Erika Kirk. Now, some of these might be true. Some of them might be debunked. And we're going to go through a few of them. But first, let's just go ahead and take a look at some of the media rounds that she's been doing. Most notably, she sat down with Bari Weiss, the head Zionist of CBS News. Bari Weiss, who Tucker Carlson says should have never been promoted higher than a secretary, has been promoted to the head of ABC News. Or is it CBS News? Which one is it? I think it's ABC News. Am I wrong? Which one is it? Which one is Candace? Is Bari Weiss CBS? She's CBS News. Okay. So she sits down with Bari Weiss. This is now a lot of people are suspecting some of the conspiracies around Erika Kirk have been that she's major Zionist. Okay. That her parents are major Zionists, that her parents, her dad in particular, worked for Raytheon, it was the head of the Israeli division and was a top head, that was helping design the Iron Dome. That her parents are major Zionists, that Trump, she was Miss Arizona 2012, and that was when it was Trump's organization at the time. The Miss Universe organization was owned by him. And the thinking, so she's known Trump for a long time. She didn't meet Charlie Kirk until 2019. And there's a thinking that Trump and his team actually set her up with Charlie Kirk, that Trump was the one who facilitated the interview. That Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk met through an interview. She was interviewing for a job at TPUSA, and Charlie Kirk infamously said, "I don't want to hire you, I want to date you." And then they started dating instead, and then they ended up married. And the theory is that Trump actually set them up. And that this is, the overall assumption. And then there's also a conspiracy theory that we're going to get into about her organization, a charitable organization linked to a Romanian children's charity that people say is linked to child trafficking. We're going to talk about that.
I mean, like, wow. So one thing that I've always found really interesting is how your family has extremely deep ties, not on just your father's side, but mostly on your mom's side. And you have extremely deep ties still to this day to Israel and the Jewish community, but you claim that you're not one of them. I just find that to be very strange. And it's like she's posing as if she is a Christian, like just a regular Christian woman. But then a lot of the things that she claimed that was going on in her household were very Jewish based. And I'm just like, I don't know what Christian person would be doing that type of stuff, but okay. And then she made claims that, oh, it took a while to get like Charlie used to doing these types of things and to saying these types of things, as if she was trying to kind of push him to that side of. And so I'm just like, I don't really know. Like, I don't really know what's going on. So I totally understand why people feel a certain way about this woman and why people think that no, she was very well aware of what could have possibly took place with her husband. Oh gosh. And then it's just like the fact that she said so many things that kind of hint back to why people think that she possibly was aware that this was going to happen and she did nothing to stop it. And now she's the head of this man's organization and she doesn't want anyone to question Israel. But okay.
I'll be back.